Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books. Let's get started.
Today we're diving deep into Iron Flame,
Ooh, Iron Flame.
the sequel to Rebecca Yarros' Fourth Wing.
Okay,
For those of you joining us who haven't read Fourth Wing,
right,
we'll make sure to bring you up to speed so you can follow along.
exactly. And for those of you who've read Force Wing, buckle up, because Iron Flame throws us right back into the action-packed world of Navarre and its dragon riders. You'll remember that we left Violet, our protagonist, grappling with the shocking discovery that her world is not what it seemed. She uncovers a secret war against creatures called the Venin who can control dragons. And to make matters worse, there's this mysterious forging device that could tip the scales in the war.
Right?
But it's in enemy hands.
It's wild how Yarros immediately throws us into this high-stakes situation. We see Violet struggling to reconcile her newfound awareness of the war with her feelings for Xaden.
Her love interest and fellow dragon
Mm.
rider.
He's fighting for the rebellion against Navarre, which puts them on opposing sides. Imagine discovering the person you're falling for is essentially fighting against everything you've been taught to believe in.
Talk about a complicated relationship. And as if that's not enough,
Right.
Violet is also dealing with the bombshell revelation that her brother, Brennan, who everyone believed was dead, is actually alive and a key player in the rebellion. I don't know about you, but if I found out my brother was not only alive, but also a rebel fighter, I'd have a lot of questions and maybe a few trust issues to work through.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Family secrets and betrayals are major themes running through the book. This discovery forces Violet to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about her family and her past. It makes you question who you can truly trust, especially in a world where alliances are constantly shifting and loyalties are tested.
And then there's the whole dragon rider element, which is central to this world. Violet's bond with her dragon Tern is not only fascinating, but also incredibly dangerous. Their lives are literally linked. Any injury Violet sustains,
Oh, wow.
Tern feels, and vice versa. Talk about high stakes.
Their bond adds another layer of complexity to Violet's already challenging situation. It highlights the intense responsibility that comes with being a dragon rider. It's not just about mastering your skills and flying into battle.
Right.
It's about protecting this magnificent creature whose life is intertwined with your own. And remember,
Wow.
Terran is a black morningstar tail, one of the most powerful and temperamental dragon breeds. So when Violet gets injured during a training exercise, his protective instincts go into overdrive.
Yeah. The scene where he nearly rips apart the vice commandant to protect her is intense,
Yeah.
but it also shows the depth of their connection and the length Tern will go to keep Violet safe. And speaking of danger, things escalate quickly when Violet stumbles upon information hinting at the existence of another ward stone.
Right.
Now, the ward stone is this magical artifact believed to be unique,
Okay.
protecting Navarre from outside threats.
Right.
Imagine the implications if there's another one out there potentially in the wrong hands. It's a game changer, that's for sure. This discovery sets Violet on a quest to uncover the truth, but it's a risky path. The information she seeks is buried deep within the archives, heavily guarded, and off-limits to most riders. It makes you wonder what secrets are being kept and why. Is the truth about the second wardstone something the Empyrean authorities are actively trying to suppress? And if so, why?
It definitely raises a lot of questions about who to trust and what they're hiding. And this distrust isn't just limited to the authorities. Violet's relationship with Xaden is also strained by secrets and differing approaches to the war.
Right.
He believes in keeping things close to the vest for the greater good,
Yeah.
while Violet craves transparency and honesty. It's a classic clash of ideals, and it creates a lot of tension between them.
Their dynamic is fascinating, isn't it? They're both fighting for what they believe in for the future of Navarre, but their methods clash. And this tension reaches a boiling point when they're sent on a mission to Athabine, a Pormish outpost, where things go horribly wrong.
Right. They face a surprise attack by griffins, resulting in the deaths of two of their comrades. This event shakes Violet to her core and deepens the rift between her and Xaden.
Wow.
It reinforces her belief that his secrecy is putting lives at risk, while Xaden argues that he was trying to protect them from a larger threat.
Right.
It's a no-win situation, and it leaves them both feeling heartbroken and disillusioned.
And back at the Riders Quadrant, the brutal training regimen known as War Games only adds to the pressure cooker environment. These games are designed to weed out the weak, pushing riders to their physical and mental limits. Let's just say not everyone makes it out alive.
The war games are a brutal microcosm of the war itself.
Yeah.
Violet witnesses firsthand the sacrifices demanded of riders, the physical and emotional toll it takes on them. And it's during these games that she starts to question everything she's been taught, especially after discovering that her mother made a secret deal with Xaden to protect her during training.
Yeah, that revelation is a punch to the gut. She feels betrayed, manipulated, like her agency has been taken away. It leads to a very intense confrontation with Xaden, where they finally lay their feelings bare, admitting their love but also acknowledging the deep wounds that need healing.
It's a pivotal moment in their relationship.
Right.
They're forced to confront the fact that their love exists within a web of lies and betrayals. And it's not just about romantic love, it's also about the love between a mother and daughter and the sacrifices made in the name of protection.
And just when you think things can't get more complicated, Violet suffers a serious injury during war games, which leads to a shocking revelation about her dragon Andarna.
Andarna, who was thought to be a gold dragon,
Okay.
begins to transform her scales, turning black. This reveals that she's actually a black dragon, like Taryn, and that her growth has been accelerated by Violet's unique energy.
Hold on. Her energy, how does that work?
Remember how Violet accidentally stopped time in Fourth Wing?
Yeah.
It seems that incident triggered something within her, unlocking a latent power that she's only beginning to understand. This power seems to have a direct effect on Andarna, accelerating her growth in ways no one could have predicted.
Okay, so Andarna is growing fast, but there's a catch.
Huh.
Right? She won't be able to bear a rider.
Exactly. And in a world where dragons are essential for warfare and survival, this discovery has major implications. A black dragon who can't be ridden, that's practically unheard of.
Right.
It challenges everything they thought they knew about dragon rider bonds and raises questions about the future of dragonkind itself.
And just when you think they can catch a break, Violet discovers that the reports about the attack on Athabine, the mission that went so horribly wrong, have been falsified.
Oh, wow.
Someone is deliberately withholding information, manipulating the narrative of the war.
This discovery adds another layer of paranoia and suspicion. Who can you trust when even official reports are being doctored? It makes you question everything you've been told and wonder what other truths are being concealed. It also pushes Violet further down the path of rebellion as she realizes the extent of the corruption within the Nevarian ranks.
And this quest for the truth puts her in the crosshairs of the authorities, specifically the Vice Commandant Varish, who suspects she's digging into classified information.
Okay.
He becomes a real thorn in her side, constantly trying to undermine her and punish her for her curiosity.
Varish represents the rigid, unquestioning authority that Violet is starting to rebel against. He's a symbol of the old ways, the unquestioning loyalty to the system even when that system is clearly flawed, and his dragon Solus is just as intimidating as he is.
Oh yeah, I remember that scene where Taryn nearly rips out Solus's throat to protect Violet.
Oh, yeah.
It's clear that Taryn won't tolerate anyone threatening his bonded rider, not even a high-ranking officer.
It shows the fierce loyalty and protectiveness inherent in the Dragon Rider bond. But despite the danger, Violet continues her investigation, determined to uncover the truth about the wards. She even enlists the help of a scribe friend, Jacinia, to access restricted materials in the archives.
This is where her rebellious streak really shines through. She's willing to break the rules, risk everything to get to the truth, and that risk-taking leads her to a forbidden text Warwick's journal, which contains vital information about the wards. But stealing this book puts her in even greater danger.
Her actions have consequences, and she faces those consequences head-on.
Right.
Varish subjects her to a brutal interrogation, trying to break her and force her to reveal what she knows.
Oh, wow.
But she stays strong, refusing to betray her friends or the information she's uncovered. It's a testament to her courage and her unwavering determination.
And just when you think she's caught, Xaden arrives to rescue her,
Yeah.
revealing a secret about himself that changes everything. He's an intended... What?
A magic wielder who can read minds.
This revelation is a huge turning point. It explains so much about Xaden's behavior,
Right.
his ability to anticipate her thoughts and actions. But it also puts him in a precarious position. In a world where magic is feared and controlled, being an intrinsic makes him a target.
Yeah. And the fallout from that rescue is explosive. Xaden exposes Varish's treachery to the entire Riders Quadrant, revealing the truth about the falsified reports and the manipulation that's been going on.
It's a moment of reckoning, a shattering of illusions.
Mm-hmm.
The Riders are forced to confront the lies they've been fed, the corruption within their ranks, and it leads to a dramatic shift in power.
Because shortly after that confrontation, Xaden and Violet, along with several other writers and professors who no longer trust the Navarian leadership defect to Eratia.
Okay.
Eratia is Xaden's ancestral home, and it becomes a haven for those seeking refuge from Navarre's corruption. This defection marks a turning point in the war, a declaration of independence. It signifies their commitment to the rebellion and their willingness to fight for a better future.
But even in Eratia, they're not safe. Violet attempts to raise the wards there, using the knowledge she gained from War External. If she can activate the wards, it will provide much-needed protection for the rebellion. But it's a risky endeavor, and as we'll see in the next part of our deep dive, it comes with unexpected challenges and heartbreaking betrayals.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Iron Flame. You'll recall that Violet and Xaden, along with a group of disillusioned writers, have defected to Eratia, seeking refuge from Navarre's corruption.
Right, and Violet is trying to activate the wards in Eratia, using what she learned from that forbidden text War External. But it doesn't exactly go as planned, does it?
Not quite. It turns out the instructions she found were incomplete. To fully activate the wards, she needs 7 dragons, not the traditional 6. This throws a wrench into their plans, leaving them scrambling to figure out where they'll find this 7th dragon.
Okay, so 7 dragons are needed, but there are only 6 known dragon dens. Where are they supposed to find a 7th? It's like searching for a needle in a haystack.
That's where things get really interesting. As the story unfolds, we discover that Violet herself is the 7th dragon, in a manner of speaking.
Wait, hold on. How is Violet a dragon? She's a writer bonded to Taryn.
Not literally, of course, but remember that power she possesses, the one that affected Andarna's growth and allowed her to stop time? That same power makes her the 7th element needed to activate the wards fully.
Okay.
She's essentially a living conduit capable of channeling and amplifying dragonfire in a way no other writer can.
That makes sense. She's not just a writer, but also a source of immense power, almost like a dragon herself. And this realization comes at a critical moment as the hatching grounds, the source of all dragon life, come under attack by Navarre's forces and the Wiener.
Exactly. The stakes have never been higher. It's no longer just about securing Eratia or even challenging Navarre's authority. It's about protecting the very future of dragonkind. And in the midst of this desperate battle, Violet has to embrace her role as the 7th dragon, pushing her powers to the limit to defend those she loves.
And this battle isn't just about Violet, is it? We see the other riders stepping up, showcasing their unique skills, and forming a united front against seemingly insurmountable odds.
You're absolutely right. We see the strength of the Dragon Rider bonds put to the test as they fight side by side, risking their lives for each other. And in a surprising turn of events, a first-year writer named Sloane emerges as a key player. It turns out she's a siphon, a rare type of magic wielder who can absorb and redirect energy.
Hold on, so there's another type of magic wielder in this world. It just keeps getting more complex. Tell me more about these siphons. What are they capable of?
Well, Sloane's abilities make her incredibly powerful, but also incredibly vulnerable. Her power to absorb and redirect energy is a double-edged sword. It can be used for good, as we see when she helps Violet channel the energy needed to activate the wards. But it can also be easily manipulated, as Violet's own mother, General Sorrengail, attempts to do.
General Sorrengail sees Sloane as a tool to be used for her own ambitions. It's a chilling reminder of how ruthless she can be, even when it comes to her own granddaughter.
It speaks volumes about her character, doesn't it? She's willing to sacrifice anyone, even family, to achieve her goals. And this manipulation puts Sloane in a difficult position. She's young, inexperienced, and suddenly thrust into a situation where she holds immense power, but also faces incredible danger.
Talk about pressure. But despite her fear and uncertainty, Sloane makes a courageous choice. She defies her grandmother's manipulation and chooses to help Violet, using her siphoning abilities to protect the hatching grounds.
It's a powerful moment of defiance and growth for Sloane. She chooses to forge her own path, rejecting the manipulations of those who would use her as a pawn. And her actions are crucial in giving Violet the time and energy she needs to fully activate the wards.
And she succeeds. The wards are activated, creating a powerful barrier that protects the hatching grounds from the attack. But this victory comes at a price, doesn't it?
Yes, a heavy price. But Violet pushes herself to the absolute limit, channeling an immense amount of power that leaves her physically and emotionally drained. We're left wondering if she'll even survive.
I was on the edge of my seat. Will she pull through? And even if she does, what about the aftermath? Eratia is still facing a war against Navarre, and now they've made a powerful enemy in General Sorrengail.
It's a cliffhanger ending for sure, leaving us with more questions than answers. We'll have to dive into part 3 to discover Violet's fate and explore the ramifications of her actions. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Iron Flame. When we left off, Violet had just activated the wards, pushing her power to the absolute limit to protect the hatching grounds. But she was left in a dire state, her survival hanging in the balance. So what happens next? Does she make it?
She does. It's a close call, but Violet pulls through. However, the experience leaves her weak and scarred, both physically and emotionally.
I can only imagine the toll it took on her. And even though they managed to defend the hatching grounds, Orisha is still in a precarious position. They've lost their ward stone, making them vulnerable to attack, and the war with Navarre is far from over.
Absolutely. The mood in Orisha is somber. They're reeling from their losses, and there's a sense of uncertainty about what the future holds.
And to make matters worse, it seems like they're dealing with some internal conflicts within the rebellion itself.
Yes. There's a growing distrust of Xaden and his abilities as a shadow wielder. Some members of the rebellion see him as a potential threat, a loose cannon who could just as easily turn against them.
You can't blame them for being wary. He kept his powers a secret for a long time, and he's shown a willingness to use those powers in ways that some might consider ruthless. It makes sense that they'd question his motives and his loyalty.
True. And this distrust creates tension and division within the rebellion at a time when they desperately need to present a united front. It also puts Xaden in a tough spot. He's trying to protect Violet and fight for the future of Navarre, but he's constantly being judged and doubted.
It must be frustrating for him to constantly have to prove himself, especially to those he's trying to help.
Hmm.
And speaking of Violet, how is she coping with everything that's happened? She faced a near-death experience, witnessed the deaths of her comrades, and uncovered her mother's betrayal. That's a lot to process.
It is. She's struggling with guilt, grief, and a sense of disillusionment. The revelation about her mother's actions cuts particularly deep. It shatters the image she had of her mother and forces her to confront the possibility that her entire life has been built on a foundation of lies.
That's a heavy burden to carry. And she's also dealing with the fallout of Xaden's secret. How do they rebuild trust after that kind of betrayal? Can the relationship survive all of this?
That's one of the central questions in this final part of the book. They both love each other deeply, but they've been hurt and they have very different perspectives on trust and secrecy.
It's a classic dilemma, isn't it? The need for honesty and transparency versus the desire to protect those you love, even if it means keeping secrets.
Exactly. And in Iron Flame, Yarros explores this dilemma in a nuanced and compelling way. We see Violet and Xaden struggling to communicate, to understand each other's perspectives, and to find a path forward together.
So do they manage to work things out?
They do. It's not easy, but they have a raw and emotional confrontation where they finally lay everything on the table. They acknowledge their mistakes, their fears, and their insecurities, and ultimately they choose to believe in each other and in the strength of their love.
I love that. Sometimes the most difficult conversations are also the most necessary. And it sounds like their relationship emerges even stronger from this ordeal. But even with their personal issues somewhat resolved, they're still facing a war. What happens next? Do they have a plan to defeat the Venin and secure a future for Navarre?
They do, and it involves a rather unexpected alliance. They team up with the Griffin Flyers' former enemies who are now seeking refuge in Orisha.
Wow, from enemies to allies, that's quite a shift. I imagine it takes a lot of effort to overcome those old grudges and suspicions.
You're right, it's a fragile alliance built on necessity rather than genuine trust. But Violet plays a key role in bridging the gap between the Riders and the Flyers. She uses her understanding of both cultures to foster a sense of cooperation and mutual respect.
That's one of the things I admire most about Violet. She's not just a skilled rider or a powerful magic wielder. She's also a strategist, a diplomat, and a leader. She sees the bigger picture and understands the importance of unity in the face of a common enemy.
Absolutely. She's constantly evolving, adapting to the challenges she faces, and using her diverse skills to make a difference. And it's not just about strategy and diplomacy. She also brings a sense of compassion and empathy to her leadership, which helps to unite those around her.
So with the Griffin Flyers on their side, do they finally manage to turn the tide of the war?
They do, but not without significant sacrifices. The final battles are brutal and heart-wrenching, and not everyone survives. But in the end, they succeed in repelling the Venin and securing a future for both Dragon Riders and Griffon Flyers.
It sounds like a bittersweet victory. They achieve their goal, but at a great cost.
Exactly. Iron Flame doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of war. It acknowledges the sacrifices made, the lives lost, and the lasting scars it leaves on those who fight.
It's a powerful reminder that even in victory, there's always a sense of loss and a need for healing. So what's the final takeaway from this deep dive into Iron Flame?
For me, it's about the power of choice resilience and the importance of fighting for what you believe in, even when the odds are stacked against you. Violet's journey is a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity, to adapt, and to find strength in the face of unimaginable challenges.
I couldn't agree more. It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it, prompting you to reflect on your own values, your own choices, and the kind of world you want to create.
And it leaves you eager to see what happens next in this epic saga. The ending of Iron Flame hints at new challenges, new alliances, and new adventures on the horizon.
Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to diving into the next installment when it arrives. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Iron Flame.
It's been a pleasure exploring this incredible book with you.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word.